Hey friends, this is Grace, just popping in before the start of this episode to let you know that, like a real pro, I forgot to hit record when we were filming for the video. So instead of watching Trityca and I have a lovely conversation, here are some frogs instead. But not to worry, because after about 5 minutes, you'll be able to see us again. So thank you so much for your patience, and to all of you out there, don't forget to press record.
Hi, and welcome to Snapshots Podcast, where we talk about snapshots of photography tips, how to connect with local vendors, and much more. I'm Trityca, your host.
And I'm your other host, Grace. And today we're talking about wedding days, how we prep our clients, and a little bit more. So sit back, relax, and let's jump on in.
Yeah, go get a beverage or something.
Get a beverage.
Maybe make some nachos.
Prepping our clients, let's start with that. So once someone inquires with us, we'll send them back, like, obviously, one, congratulations on your engagement. Want to make sure we acknowledge that. And then we'll send them like a pricing guide or like an offer to meet up in person. Because if you're local, I love meeting you guys for coffee. And then it's also like you get to know me a little bit more in person than just through email. But we'll send back a pricing or like an investment guide. Or at least for me, I send you back an investment guide, and then we kind of go from there. I don't consider you guys fully booked, or like I don't consider a couple booked until they signed their contract and they submitted a non-refundable retainer, which for me is 30% of their investment price.
I love communicating through email, and your girl has a little bit of social anxiety. So getting on a phone call, I much prefer emails. Plus, there's then a paper trail of everything that we've communicated about, so there's no room for like miscommunication or misunderstandings.
Yeah.
But yeah, so reach out to me in my contact form, my contact form. Then I'll get back to you within 24 to 48 hours, depending on what day it is, and then we'll decide like if it makes sense for me to even be your photographer. We'll talk more about what you need. Especially if it's a wedding day. And then, of course, I'll send over my pricing, and you can kind of gauge if that would work for you. And then we can keep talking from there. And then if we get you booked, you sign a contract. Jeez, pay your retainer. For me, it's $500, regardless of whatever your final amount is. And then we'll start planning like hardcore.
Yeah.
Especially on a wedding day.
I think that's something that's really important too, is like, we are not necessarily everyone's cup of tea. And it is okay.
I don't want to be either. Can you imagine how exhausting it would be to take photos of literally every single person's wedding inter-cities?
Okay, yeah. There's a lot of people in our area, like, which is, I'm really thankful for, that there's enough clients to go around for the photographers.
Yeah.
And there's also so many different types of photographers here with different styles, and my editing style might not be someone's ideal type of editing for their photos. Or like people who don't like my photos might love Trityca's, and I love that for her.
Love that for you.
Yeah. And I love that for her because they might be more her ideal client than mine. Or like if we're chatting and we're not necessarily clicking on all the levels, because we would spend a lot of time together on your wedding day. It would be like 6 to 10 hours plus, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, you gotta have a good level of trust in the person that is taking your photos.
Yeah. And if I always like to make sure that people understand when I'm joking.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's helpful when you understand each other's humor. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect, but yes.
If you're not getting any of my jokes, then I'm not
really
getting
awkward
any of yours.
if someone's like not getting it. Like,
yeah.
I don't
so
think
like,
I really had that happen, but if it did, it'd be really awkward.
I mean, me either, but I've heard of it. So like, I don't like, if that were to happen, with all the love in my heart, I would probably say, hey, I'm not the best photographer for you, but here are some recommendations. And again, with all the love, send you back out into your photography search journey.
Yeah, and something that I like to do is ask for potential clients' social media handles so I can like see their face
and get a sense of who
and
they
get
are.
a sense of who you are. The same way that I would hope that you're doing to me, because I try to put my face on my business social media. My personal one is private, but because if you don't already know me, so that way you can get a sense of who I am. And then if I can look at your socials a little bit, I can get a sense of who you are and like what your values are and who you surround yourself with, so I can kind of assume that we'd be a good fit or not.
Yeah.
Aside from any communication that we do
And then
email.
if like thankfully we are able to move on to the next steps and you are our
Mhm.
actual clients or something, then we love tagging you in the photos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best determination of if we're a good fit is getting you in front of our cameras and having a good time at a session.
Yeah. That's why I love meeting people for coffee, is because that, like, even before then I can tell if we're a good fit. Okay, this is gonna sound funny. I put a lot of emojis, whether I'm texting you or emailing you, and if you don't send any emojis back or at least one smiley face, then I'm like, okay, we have to meet in person.
And like, at least give me an exclamation point, because I chronically use exclamation
And I
points.
totally get that some people just don't communicate like that over text or anything. So that's why I'm like,
true. That's meeting
in person.
It's pretty valuable.
Yeah.
I
Communicating
feel
with
like
emojis. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always down to meet in person too, especially if we're at a point where we like you want to book or you're maybe deciding between me or someone else. Like, for sure. I don't have the capacity to meet with every single person who inquires, nor do I think is that necessary for me personally to do.
Yeah. And also some clients just don't
vibing,
want to.
Yeah, I'll get coffee with.
Sometimes clients don't want to meet in person either, and that's totally fine. But for the majority, or for the clients that do want to meet me in person, I have a grand time.
Oh, especially if it's like a large wedding package too. Like if someone's going to pay me multiple thousands of dollars and they want to make sure like I'm a good person, absolutely.
Yeah, let's chat.
Let's talk in person.
Or if you're not in the same area, like video chats.
Video chats, yeah.
Yeah, I think I do a lot better with video chats over phone calls.
Yeah. Again, I definitely have a little bit of a social anxiety when it comes to phone calls. So it's fine. I'll professionally get over it. It's fine. It's fine. I'll do it for you, as in my clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also a little bit easier for me to meet clients in person too, because I also offer video as part of my wedding packages, and it's a little bit easier to explain how that would work. Yeah, in person. Because sometimes I have a hard time articulating myself. Here I am on a podcast trying to articulate myself.
Yeah, again, who let us do this? We did.
We did.
I'm so sorry. That was such an ugly laugh.
Anyways,
moving on.
One thing that is always included in my wedding packages too is an engagement session. So technically the way I have it set up is that the investment cost that I have is for your wedding day. And then I have an engagement session added on as a complimentary piece. So you're not paying any money for your engagement session. So for couples that always ask if they can get discounts if they don't get an engagement session, the short answer is no, because you're technically not paying for it in the first place.
I used to offer that, and then I pivoted to offering a discounted engagement session because I've had a lot of couples which I had a few actually, who already had their engagement photos taken because they're from out of state and they're just coming here to get married, and it just wouldn't make sense. And then no one's asking me, can I get extra time on the wedding day or can I get a discount because I don't want an engagement session, even though before it used to literally just be free. Like I would literally just be doing it for free. Like, if anything, I'd be losing money because I'm offering an engagement session, which is like a good gift to give because then you get that time with your couple before their wedding day, which is like invaluable. But I do offer like 40% off an engagement session. So it's like, it's not that expensive.
Yeah, if they book with you.
In the grand scheme of things, it's really not that expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but similar.
I'm literally holding my hands like this. Like, anyways.
For anyone listening, Grace was holding it like a mouse would hold cheese.
Yeah, I think you have a lot more out-of-state couples inquire than I do. So currently for me, I don't find that useful. But
I just had
that does make a lot of sense.
I had too many people asking me, like, can I get a discount because I don't want an engagement session? I'm like, no, because it was never... It wasn't built into my pricing in the first place.
Yeah, that's something I always
I didn't like sneak it in there. Yeah. Oh, you're actually still gonna pay for it. No, I would never. No,
that makes sense. That doesn't make sense for my business, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I always try and mention that a lot in my investment portfolio,
Mhm.
investment file guide.
Pricing guide?
Yeah. So in my investment guide, I state that your engagement session is not,
Yes.
or that your engagement session is
Yeah.
complimentary. It's not part of the investment cost. So I try and say that a couple of times so that people understand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, during the engagement session too, oh man, yeah, like Tritica said, I love that it's just a great time to get to know your couple, like just them without their wedding party or anything, because
Yeah.
then you get more of a sense of who they are. They get to know how you're going to work on their wedding day.
Yeah.
One thing I don't offer though is an engagement video. If you book wedding photos and video with me, you're like your engagement session is just photos, unless like I'm feeling it that day, but
Mhm.
it's not like already included, like a wedding
Mhm.
engagement video. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, well, video is it's similar, but it's different, and I feel like it's a lot of work after the fact, right? Like far more than like photo is a lot of work to edit afterwards, obviously, like hours editing, but video I feel like is just like on next level. Like,
Video feels intensive in a very different way. Like
yeah.
yes, it's similar, but you have to get different like editing software. Um, if you're adding music to it, you got to search for the music.
So then to offer a complimentary video for an engagement session, I feel like that would be too much. Yeah, I get why you wouldn't offer a complimentary engagement session video.
Yeah.
Because that's like next level extra work on the back end that you're not getting paid for. But
Yeah.
if someone wants to pay you for an engagement video,
Yeah, I would
you
offer
do
that
it,
if they
right?
asked.
Yeah.
Yeah. But another thing too is it takes more time, not just after the session, but during.
Oh yeah, true.
So if you were to get a video, honestly, it would probably be only like anywhere
A
between
minute?
15 to 30 seconds,
Yeah.
not even
Oh,
a
not
minute.
even a minute. Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Because your engagement photos take precedence.
Mhm.
And it's just me.
Yeah.
Whereas on your wedding day, it's me and like another
True.
person
True.
or two.
Or two or three or
Yeah,
four.
like a total of like at most right now a total of 4 people would come.
A whole wedding
Maybe.
party's worth of photographers and videographers.
Because there would be me, of course, and then there would be a
Second
second
shooter.
shooter for the photography, and then there would be a second shooter
For
for
video.
video, and then a primary for video if I was able to swing that day. If not, then it would just be a max of 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you give out styling guides to your couples before their engagement session?
I used to, and then I didn't update it after like a year, and then I stopped sending it out.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, styling guides for us, we pretty much just put outfits together that align with our brand as photographers, what most people generally wear to engagement sessions. So if you're like, I don't know what to wear, then we send you like an outfit guide with examples.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna remake mine and make it like stupidly simple.
Oh yeah,
I have like a 20-page one, and I feel like that's just too much.
I think mine's like 4 pages.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, but generally, if they don't, I also have a video to go along with mine where I talk about it. So if people don't want to watch or look at the guide, then I'll also just be like neutrals.
Yes, yeah.
Wear neutral toned colors.
Every time. Neutrals, lighter tones, no neons,
no graphic tees.
No graphic tees, no baseball caps, please. What else? No like athletic wear, unless you're like specifically purposely doing like a laid back couple session. But like a formal engagement session, yeah, neutrals, and like love a good dress.
Yeah, I normally tell my couples like you get one casual outfit and then you get one real fancy outfit.
Jeans are good. Like I like jeans and a cute top for either person.
So that if like we want you guys to feel true to who you are in your photos. We don't want you to get your photos back and be like, oh, who is that? So like the casual one, so that you guys can like dress how you would normally dress on like a casual date night, and then the fancy one for like when you guys are fancy together.
And it's not like you're wearing a ball gown either.
Yeah.
That's for the wedding day. Yeah.
I'm trying to think about what I think I I think for my engagement photos, what I did is I went onto a website that specialized in sending out bridesmaid dresses, and I
Oh.
just bought a bridesmaid dress
Yeah. Yeah.
for my engagement photos. And then I had my girls wear like a similar color so that
That's
I was
cute.
able to wear the dress again and it
Mhm.
wasn't just like silly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Smart.
it was like azazi.com or something.
Yeah, I have bought dresses from there before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's a great quality dress. I love
Yeah,
it. It's
no,
still
it's
so
good.
cute. Yeah. Location guides. We talked about styling guides. Do you send out a location guide?
You know what? Now that I realize it, I think I had my location and my styling guide like in the same thing.
Mm.
And location guides for here, I feel like I got to do them seasonally because this area looks different every month out of the year.
Yeah.
Like there's locations that I love for like spring and summer and fall, but in the wintertime, it's disgusting. It's brown.
Literally,
It's
it's a little more
literally,
difficult.
yeah, it's like sticks. And so it depends on the time of year. But yeah, locations guides are good. And I would like vaguely explain the location. I wouldn't give like a Google pin until the day before our session.
Yeah. My location guide has like 6 places in it,
Nice.
and I have example photos and of like other couples.
Oh, this makes me want to go out in Location Scout and take photos.
Yeah, we totally should. Anyways,
Because
so
there's
it has
places
like
that I want to take photos at here that I haven't yet.
yeah, so I only have 6 places because I don't want to overwhelm anyone
Yeah.
because too many choices can be way too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, no.
So I only have like 6 places. I have example photos, and then I say you get 2 locations if they're in the same city.
Yeah.
So your engagement session with me is an hour. You get 2 outfits, and for instance, if you wanted your photos done at like Twin Sisters,
Which is like 30 minutes
yeah,
east of
like
here.
Wallula Gap, your session would then be an hour of, or like 30 minutes of photo taking time.
Oh.
Whereas in town, like if you went to one park in Richland and then you went to like uptown of
Uptown.
Richland,
Yeah.
they're still in the same city. So you're
Yeah.
not taking as much time
Yeah.
driving back and forth, for instance.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's how I do my location
Oh, I
guide.
didn't realize that you did that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we're learning more about
Learning
each other's
something about
business
Grace
too.
today. I've joined Grace on a couple of her engagement shoots too.
Yeah.
So, which is always fun.
Yeah. I also learned that from the photographer that I second shoot for primarily
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's definitely taught me a lot. Ooh, do you help your couples find other vendors if they need help?
I used to have like a list on my website and then I like took that off, but yeah, I send recommendations frequently. Like I have a few, especially for like cake and dresses and flowers. I feel like those are like the big three.
Yeah.
Aside from a photographer, like those are like the big three.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. As after we've booked. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense for because I'm not a wedding planner. I'm not gonna plan someone's wedding.
Oh, yeah.
But I will give my recommendations for people that I like to work with or people that
You've worked with
I
before.
appreciate in the area for sure.
Yeah.
After you've booked.
Yeah. I think in the instance where you haven't booked with me and that's because I'm not available for your day, I would then also recommend other photographers.
Yes. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I've done that a lot. I've had a couple people who are like, "Are you available?" And I'm like, "No, I'm sorry, but hey, Trityca, she's great. She's
Thanks.
available."
That's another big reason why it's good to have good relationships with other vendors because they will recommend you to other couples.
Yeah, that's
Talking
true.
to the photographers out there.
Yeah.
Or any vendor that might be listening. Hi. That's a big reason. And
No, you're
not
right.
like it's not even a selfish thing either. It's just like be nice to other people, have good relationships with other professional people in the area, especially in the wedding industry, and you'll help each other out.
Yeah.
Because there's enough couples and enough weddings to go around for everyone.
Yeah.
For
Absolutely.
sure.
I think too, so what I do when I send information out about other vendors to my couples, I say, "Hey, these ones are my favorites." I give links to their website.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm like, "And if they are not available, here is 509bride.com."
Oh yeah.
Which is a list of vendors from different categories that goes from all the way to photo and video to rentals. If you need to rent like your linens for tables and napkins, to venues, to florists, makeup artists, hair, estheticians, everything.
Mm.
So if I didn't list something that you guys might be wanting, then I say, hey, here's 509 Bride, check it out.
Perfect resource if you're
Yeah.
planning your wedding.
Yeah.
In Eastern Washington.
Yeah. And 509 Bride also just got a whole rework.
Thanks to Grace.
I was trying not to say.
I'm going to toot her horn. Grace did that.
So 509 Bride, a little bit more on that, is brought to you from Rosalie Bridal and Tuxedo. So the owner of Rosalie Bridal also owns 509 Bride. And I'm proud to say that I did help with the rework and rebrand of 509 Bride recently. So check it out. You can find a ton of vendors there. They're all really great. And if you are a vendor, you can also apply to be on the 509 Bride
I still need
website
to do that.
and some more neat stuff after you apply. So that's my quick tidbit on 509 Bride, but I do really send it out to a lot of couples. I'm like, check it out.
Yeah, I need to do that.
Yeah. Earlier, you also mentioned wedding day timelines. Do you help your couples with their timeline?
Yes. Oh my gosh. If there's one thing I do, it is help you make your timeline, because I cannot handle when the lighting is like horrendous. Well, I can't handle actually, because you learn to adapt as a photographer. But
It's just more difficult.
worst case scenario is you do too much stuff towards the end of your wedding day, and then there's no more sun for when we would ideally be taking portraits of you and your spouse for like 20 to 30 minutes, maybe before or after, like maybe in the middle of your reception. It totally depends on the day. Anyway, the point is, us as photographers, we work on light. Like that determines a photo so heavily, and so the time that you take the photos is incredibly important. And so yes, I will make, or not gonna make your timeline, but I will guide you and suggest a most perfect timeline for your wedding day based on your like ceremony and reception.
Do people
time.
normally follow the timeline you give them?
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
Yes.
I work with my couples for their timeline. So if they don't have a wedding planner, so if they don't have a wedding planner, then I help at least with that.
I think wedding planners know what's up too.
Yeah, because it's really difficult as a couple to be like, okay, when are we doing things and why?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we step in and I say, hey, this is probably the best time for these reasons. So I start building a timeline with them by asking a couple major questions like, do you have a ceremony time already in place?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a reception time already in place?
And then this is what time sunset is.
And this is what time sunset is.
Those are your main three, and then you can build everything around that.
Yep. So if they don't have a ceremony time and it's real flexible, and they don't have a reception time and it's real flexible, then I start with sunset.
Mm-hmm.
I say, we're going to start with sunset. And those photos are going to take, for me, like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we'll work back. Like, are you having a cake cutting? Are you having speeches, dances? How long do you think dinner will be? Like, if you think it's going to be a long dinner or not. And if you don't know, then we'll probably just go with like 45 minutes to an hour. Mm-hmm. And then we'll also chat about like, are you wanting to do all your dances after the portraits, like the sunset portraits, or before?
Right. And I guess that depends heavily on what time of year you're getting married too, because if sunset's not till 9 p.m. in the middle of August, then it's like, do you really want to wait to do everything till after? No. Like, you're just going to look a little.
Also, did you book me for that long? That's also another factor. So for like 6-hour wedding days, we do things a little bit faster.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But like for like 8 or 10-hour days, there's a little bit more leeway. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily like, this is when sunset is, if sunset's at 9 p.m.
Yeah, no.
Right. Then we'll just go like as late as we like technically can possibly go.
Yeah. And like your photos don't have to be during golden hour either. It's just setting aside, making sure you set aside a specific time. Yeah. For those photos, especially if you're not doing like a first look, which a first look, I learned that not a lot of people actually know what this is when you and your spouse or fiance in that moment,
before
see each other before the ceremony. And I love first looks because, first of all, it's just a sweet, intimate moment between two people who love each other and are about to spend the rest of their lives together. And it's like, oh, it's so cute. But it also logistically helps out because then you're able to do some portraits before your ceremony when you're looking fresh, your emotions are high, you're so happy and hopefully not too stressed out. And there's like, hopefully no one else around. And that time together before your ceremony allows you to not have to take as much time after your ceremony to take photos.
Yeah.
So that's a big determination of how your timeline will look too.
I also actually really love when couples don't do a first look.
Of course.
Like maybe
Yeah,
they just
there's
do a
no
first
wrong answer.
touch,
There's
you know,
first touches
or
are
like
so
they're
sweet.
back to back, like this,
Yes.
and they're reading each other like private vows.
Yeah. Those
for
are
instance,
perfect too.
like those little private moments are actually something that we as photographers can help give you away from everyone else.
Yeah.
So even though like we're there, it's still like a moment for you guys to have alone.
Yeah, I'll try to use my 85 and not my
Yeah.
shorter length lens. That way I'm not like up in your business.
Yeah. Like we'll try and be like farther away so you guys can read those vows alone.
Yes. Yeah.
Or like what feels like a little bit more alone. Those are some moments I love
That's
too.
I love private vows.
But yeah, so I start backwards from sunset, and if you do have your
Yeah.
ceremony time and your reception time, I work back from your reception time first. Yep.
And there's no wrong answer when it comes to a wedding day, except for when it's pitch black outside and you still want to take photos. And it's like, I know how to use my flash, but I prefer not to have to. You know what I mean?
Flash photos could be real cute though.
But I mean, not for like 4 hours. Like for a reception, yes, but not when like
when it's your like
not portraits, not like formal
yeah.
portraits. I don't want all of them to be like that.
Yeah, some of them can be like that.
Some of them, of course,
but not like all of them.
Some of those
are
are
a little tricky.
Love that. But like, I don't want to have to do all of your bridal party, all of your family photos, all of your couple portraits after the sun has gone away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that can be definitely very tricky.
Unless we're inside, that's totally doable if you're inside. But if you're
plus,
outside,
then like grandparents normally want to leave.
Yes.
By that point, so we try and get family photos out of the way.
People go to bed at like 4
sooner, rather than later. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot of little logistics.
Yeah. No, but I agree. There's no wrong answer because every couple is different. Every story is different. Every family is different. We're just here to help navigate it and take away some stress.
We will tell you what to do to get the best photos we know how to take for you.
Yeah. Okay, so in our last episode, we also talked briefly about lead shooting versus second shooting. So if you missed our first episode, lead shooting is where the couple books with you and you are in charge of helping them get prepped in whatever way you do that as a photographer, managing the wedding day, their timeline, and pretty much directing everyone during the day for photos.
Which we should clarify, photographers are not wedding planners.
Oh yes,
like not on a wedding day. I'm not gonna coordinate everyone and everything. I'm gonna tell the couple where exactly they need to be, and then I'm gonna tell someone else. Like especially if there's not a coordinator, which hopefully there is because that's such a big help. But like I'm not going to, like try not to, have the whole stress of the entire wedding day on my shoulders when I need to be focusing on taking photos.
Yeah.
That's what Grace means when she says like the timeline, like
by like managing the day. Yes. We primarily manage everything related to the couple.
Yes. When there's photos being taken.
Yeah. And that depends on the photographer too. Some photographers don't really do that. Or some photographers don't do that. And I know photographers who can also help more than I do, for instance.
Yeah.
That also goes back to like finding the right photographer. And if I'm not going to do something that you want me to do as a photographer and you know someone else who is, then with love, we're probably not the best fit. For instance, that's a great example. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. Which like I'll tell people where they need to be and when.
Yeah.
For sure. Especially if I need to be there too. Like I'm not gonna be like, oh, you snooze, you lose. No, like of course I'm gonna guide you and like the people that need to be in the photo, but I'm not like trying to direct an entire wedding day as like a wedding planner as a photographer because I think that is distracting. And then you're not going to get like a perfect full wedding gallery at the end of the day because like I was too busy trying to yell at someone
at your caterer.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I was going to say something else too. That's okay. We can move on and I'm sure I'll
Okay. So that's basically what a lead shooter is. They manage everything related photo wise, managing your wedding day and your timeline that you and the couple created or like you and I created.
Yes.
Second shooters are the photographers that assist the lead shooter and capture either different angles of the same moment. So like during your ceremony, they're not taking the photo of the same thing or different moments entirely. A great example of this one is if the bride and the groom are getting ready in different areas, the lead photographer will typically photograph the bride getting ready, and the second shooter will typically go to the other.
And that's not because the groom, if there is one, is less than the bride.
Yes.
We
No.
should be really clear on that. I have taken so many photos of grooms in the last year and a half or 2 years because I've second shot a ton. And those photos are great. They're fun, and I love doing that.
Yeah. No, I think for me, I normally photograph like the getting ready for the individual that was in contact with me the most.
Yeah.
Like they helped me
That
create,
makes sense.
like if the groom helped me create the timeline, then I'll probably go to the groom,
Uh-huh.
for instance. It just totally depends. Again, every couple is different and every situation is different. So that's definitely something we could play by ear.
And it's possible too to not have a second shooter and still have
Yeah.
like a full gallery like that. It just might take a little bit more finessing and time in the morning.
Yeah.
Anyway, not really the point of what we were saying.
Yeah.
Second shooting.
Second shooting's great. And I think another question that a lot of couples have is, should you always have a second shooter?
No. I mean, you could. There's no reason not to. I should say that. There's really no, unless you financially
Can't afford that.
can't afford that. Otherwise, no, there's really no reason not to because you're gonna get so many more photos and like a more perfectly documented day.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not doing video, I would suggest having a second shooter. And I guess it also depends too on how long your wedding day is, how intense it is. If it's like a real intimate, like elopement type, like I don't think a second shooter is necessarily necessary. Still beneficial. Again, there's really no reason not to.
Yeah.
I think if you have like a 8 to 10 hour wedding day and you're getting ready in two different spaces and you're even if you're not doing a first look, either way, yeah, you need one. And what is my pricing guide? I have to remember like my own business at this point. I think I require it actually. It's like built into my pricing after 8 hours.
Mine's built in after 6.
After 6?
Yeah.
I don't remember now. I should.
Yeah.
I should
So
know this.
if you're booking a 6-hour wedding day with me, the cost of a second shooter is already built in. Thank goodness.
That was smart.
Because I don't like being alone.
I guess, yeah. No, mine's after 8 hours. Because I assume then if it's 8 hours, they're also like getting ready photos. Because those are really what might determine.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to have a second shooter.
One thing I've also noticed too is like some of my couples have been like, I don't think I want getting ready photos. And I was like,
okay.
You have a 10-hour wedding day, bro.
What are you going to do? What you going to do with that 4-hour block of time in the morning? Like,
yeah, I was like,
okay.
You want me to party with you until midnight?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I would at the very least, if you're doing an 8 to 10 hour wedding day, and if you're like hesitant to do getting ready, just do like getting ready, getting to the dress, getting the jacket on, buttoning up his tie.
If you're already dressed and everything too, we can also do like recreations
too.
Oh yeah, recreations. We love photos of the couples as individuals as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of my favorite photos of my husband is when my photographer like caught a candid moment of him laughing.
Yeah,
and it's truly my favorite.
That's so sweet.
And it's of just him,
mm-hmm.
and that means so much to me.
I think it's important as a photographer to remember why you're there in the first place, though, and remember that you're there to document a wedding day and not to get your next like perfect photo that you want to share.
Yes,
because I'm not going to pressure you to book me for more time on wedding day because I want to make more money or because I want to boost my portfolio. Like, I will only do that if I genuinely think that based on what you want for your wedding day, it's just not achievable in only 6 hours or only 4 hours. Like, It genuinely would benefit you if I was there longer and if I was there to capture these extra moments for you.
Yeah.
Because that's why I do what I do.
For you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, one time I was second shooting a wedding and I remember this bride, she wanted to do a lot of fun and really cool activities, but the timeline or the time that she had booked the lead photographer for didn't allot for all of those things. So I remember while they were still trying to figure out the timeline, that there was discussion of her extending the amount of time she had booked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I agree with Tritica that we would not just push that on you
No,
guys.
and I don't want to just be at a wedding for the sake of being at a wedding. Like, I want to be able to actually be taking photos while I'm there.
Yeah.
And eating food, too. That's important.
Oh yeah, that is something that is booked, or that is something that we include in our contracts.
Feed me.
Dinner,
Please, so I don't pass out.
or
That's really
some-
the only reason.
dinner or some sort of meal
Yeah.
is required.
Snackies.
Yeah,
I've never had a couple that was like, no.
don't eat.
Thanks so much for tuning in again, you guys. Hi, bye. We'll talk to you next time, Grace.
Hi, bye.
Sorry, okay. Thanks so much for tuning into our podcast, Snapshots podcast.
Okay, sorry.
Grace is roasting me. I'm not safe. Someone help me.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll stop. Start over. You can do it.
Okay, that's it for today. Thanks so much for tuning in to our Snapshots podcast.
We'll catch you next week, and you guys can follow along on our Instagrams linked in the show notes.
Ayo. Once again, I'm Trityca.
And I'm Grace.
Bye.